That word, wing it. Is it ready? Yeah. Okay. I want to welcome everybody. Okay, as I look over our audience, we have a full crowd here, and thank you so much for taking your Saturday morning to be with us. We have a real special plan for you this morning. It's a live event. This is where we build relationships, connect, and learn, and also bring our speakers who have a message to deliver. And so today we're going to have a couple of us talking. And so, but today is special because we have Matt Haynes, which we call him Matt Black, because Matt is similar to, well, let me just go. Matt, would you please come up here? I was thinking of something and it didn't come out. All right. So thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Pete. That was good stuff.
Yes. So Matt's going to introduce the next speaker.
So without further ado, my name is Matt. Go by Matt Black some of the time. Other times I just go by Matt. So you can do whatever you want. However, I do not respond to AU. So without further ado, also, I'm just going to say our next speaker is Pete Kane. Pete, could you come on stage, please? Yes. Oh, hey, Pete.
Thank you for that introduction. I appreciate it. So what we're going to share with you today is the 10 steps, but we're not going to give all 10 because of time, to scale your business or your nonprofit. Today's world is changing very quickly. And so if you don't have a strategy, a plan, then you'll be left behind, because it's very important to know what's available out there. So when we talk about the 10 steps, and you can just go to petekane.me/masterclass to get more of the plan. But I'm going to talk about 3 plans right now. One is assessments. The first thing, you have to know about your audience. You have to know what their needs are, what their pains are, what they really need solved in their business or nonprofit. And if you don't, you can't service them. So you have to have a plan to take an assessment. And you can go to petekane.me and take our assessment if you want to try that out, see what it's like. So first, you got to have an assessment. Second, we are moving from digital, or from the analog world or the print world, into the digital world. Now, there's a lot of people out there that used to use newspapers as a primary source of information. That is slowly going away, but a lot of people like to touch and feel things. They like to see things. They want to read something besides what's on their iPhone. So we have a magazine where we take the stories from our podcasters and we put it in a print version, and we put that together in a community collaborative magazine. Why do we do that? Because I was walking the community a couple weeks ago, and I was surprised to hear, when I'm talking to the businesses, they didn't even know the business next to them. So if you're in a business in a shopping center, let's say, and you don't even know your neighbor, how can you really build that relationship? You both are trying to get people in your shopping center. So your stories, your magazine helps people to connect. Each person can know a little bit more about their neighbor, because that is the key to anything, is building a relationship with people. So when we do that, you get to know people. When you get to know people, you grow your relationship, you grow your community. So we want to put magazines in every possible place we can, with the connection to their story. So we podcast for a living, but we also make that story into a printed story. So if you're a business in a shopping center and you don't know the person beside you, if you did, you're going to have a better idea who your neighbor is. So we want to connect people with each other in small communities. Now, Glenda Hicks is going to come up, not right now, but she's going to come up in a little bit. But what she does is she helps communities thrive through the impact that they can make on nonprofits. So when you have that as your goal and communities are thriving, they're making a big impact. So what Glenda does is work with these people, that the leadership works with nonprofits to help them thrive in their communities. So it's so important that everybody has a healthy nonprofit, because a healthy nonprofit is an impactful nonprofit. So the magazine is our second, and the third that I'm going to cover is AI. If you haven't heard of AI, you probably are living in the mountains with no communication to the world, because you hear it every day. Whether it's good or bad, that's not the point. The point is be aware. Be aware of how it's going to make a transformation in how you run your business, how you operate, and there's always good and bad in it. You want to be able to know what's going on so you can have AI maybe do 80% of your work. You do 10% on the front end, directing it, 10% on the back end, but let the middle 80% be done by AI. It's just a tool. So don't be scared of it, but understand it. And that is our ninth thing that we use to help our businesses scale and grow. Now, that's my partner up in Canada, and he spent the last 6 months really diving deep into AI on how it can help businesses. So I want to encourage you. We give away our masterclass for free. You don't even have to put a name and email. Just go to petekane.me/masterclass. It's 10 videos that will help you understand how to scale your nonprofit or your business. Now, Matt, I want you here. Glenda is going to be coming up next, and I want to turn it over to our MC to introduce Glenda.
Thanks, Pete. So is that petekane.me or .you? .me? So .Matt. No, .me or y? Okay, got it. That clears it up. I just wanted to thank everybody for actually showing up this morning. Whenever you see any type of event like this, it always becomes a little, how would I say, hair raising on the back of your neck, just because you don't know how it's going to go. I woke up this morning thinking, how is this going to go? The information I got to be MC this morning was, hey, get on stage, put a mic in your hand. And I was like, okay, let's do this. So as of right now, I've got a black screen behind me because I am Matt Black. And that's how we do these. And I just wanted to thank everybody also for actually figuring out how to use a computer, because I grew up with them, but I absolutely hate them. Whenever I turn on my computer, it's a guesswork. Is it going to work, or is it just going to, just give me that blue screen? That blue screen is a little scary sometimes, but anytime you sit there and say, hey, let's turn on the computer and see that blue screen. Is it going to be an update? Is it going to die? Or is it just, hey, I've got a blue screen because I don't have signal? That's me every morning. It's kind of disturbing. But I will say, as of right now, I'm just going to get off stage here, because that's, you don't really want to see me. You want to see everybody else. So without further ado, and with dyslexia, I have horrible memory. So what was your name again? Glenda Hicks. The stage entrance is over here, so you can pass in front of me here. And honestly, she's a much better speaker than I am. So without further ado, again.
All right. Thank you so much, Matt. I'm excited to be here with everyone today. And I'm going to build on what Pete just mentioned around thriving communities and healthy organizations, and investing in that organization from the perspective of businesses and corporate social responsibility. There's some interesting statistics out there about consumers and about employees. One of them regarding consumers is 70 to 80% of consumers say that they will buy products from businesses that have a strong social engagement. And then when you look at other statistics from the employee standpoint, Harvard Business School has some out on a list of, I think they call it 15 interesting things about social impact. And 90% of employees working for an organization that has a strong presence in the community said that they felt more loyal to that organization, they felt more inspired and more motivated. And even higher than that, 92% stated that they would recommend their current employer to people in their network who might be looking for a job. And so you wonder, what is it about this social impact that companies are intentionally looking to make, and why? Well, it's because they want to contribute to thriving communities. And a big part of thriving communities depends on not-for-profit organizations. So businesses want to give back. They want to take a stand. They want to have a position on some of the issues that are going on in our community, which are getting a lot more elevated and intensified in recent years. A lot of things are coming to light that have always been there, and corporate social responsibility has always been there, but it's getting an elevation because of the issues that are being highlighted and the passion that the community has toward resolving these concerns and issues. And so nonprofit organizations play a huge part in that, in filling in the gap for individuals. And they lean on businesses to come in and support them in that way. And so one way businesses are able to do that is they encourage their employees to get involved. They want them to volunteer at nonprofits. So you might see some businesses that will give you time off to go and volunteer in your community and not rely on you to have to do it on the weekends when you're trying to do other things for your family. Your business says it's important enough for us to give you time off to go volunteer. They're also making financial contributions to those businesses and to those nonprofit businesses so that they have the budget to be able to continue to provide the services in the community that's so critical. But the other thing they do is they encourage their employees to serve on the board of directors. And so a lot of you in the audience have either served on a board, you've been asked to serve on a board, or you've turned down the opportunity to serve on a board because you weren't confident in what that meant and what you were supposed to do. So one of the things that businesses are encouraged to do is to not only allow and provide opportunity for their employees to serve on the board, but to also make sure they know what they're getting into and what is expected of them. And that's where I come in, is I help businesses to equip their employees to serve on boards of directors of nonprofit organizations, because it's a phenomenal opportunity for their employee to exhibit leadership skills and to get involved in decision-making at a level that perhaps they haven't attained within their company yet, but they have the capacity and the skills to do that and to contribute it to a nonprofit organization. After all, nonprofits are businesses as well, and they've got business decisions to make, strategic decisions, and they're looking for different talent, different skill sets. And so that's why they're seeking these individuals from businesses. But the business has another responsibility, and that is to ensure these employees understand what they're doing, that they know the roles and the responsibilities. Secondly, that they give them that time to attend those board meetings and to be active in other ways, attending events that the nonprofit hosts in the community, connecting that nonprofit to other individuals in the community within that employee sphere of influence that could make a difference for that nonprofit organization. And they're also looking for resources, financial resources. And so I was just talking to someone recently, and she was commenting how at her organization, when she's working in a development capacity, a fundraising capacity for her nonprofit, sometimes the people on the board, as fabulous as they are, they go back to their company and they don't have the access to the decision makers in the company who would say, yes, let's write that check. And so another way for these businesses to be socially responsible is to empower your people who you're allowing to serve on these boards through time to also be able to come back to you and say, we need to make a bigger contribution to this organization. We need to sponsor this event they're about to hold. We need to write a check. And so you want to ensure that if you're going to give your employees that time, you also want to be there standing with them to be able to make a decision in the favor of the nonprofit on whose board they're serving by writing a check, committing to a sponsorship, making a contribution, or making donations of other physical assets. When you upgrade your computer system or your furniture and your office equipment, perhaps what you were using is still very viable and has a useful life, and you donate that to the nonprofit. So corporate social responsibility has a lot of aspects. It includes how an organization does business and processes its products, produces them in a way that is protective of the environment. But it also is about nonprofit and social matters as much as it is about economic profit and being profitable and generating returns for your investors. So I'd leave you today with the message of considering your corporate social responsibility as a business more broadly, and look at it in terms of how can you develop your employees in ways outside of your own company, which includes giving them that opportunity to give to the community. Because the statistics say that your company will be better viewed by your consumers who are buying your products, but also by your employees who are going to want to stay, they're going to be loyal, they're going to tell others about job opportunities that you have. And one statistic, which will blow your mind, and I'll leave you with this one, is that 60% of those in this particular survey stated they would be willing to take a pay cut just to work for a company that had a strong social engagement and presence. Thank you. I'll turn it back over to you, Matt.
Thank you, Glenda. That was amazing. My mind is blown. Unfortunately, it doesn't take much. However, I will say that is very mind-blowing. Honestly, whenever I actually come up here on stage, I start shaking a little bit. So if the mic starts, kind of trembling, that's why. But anytime I'm sitting, a pick. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so that's dyslexia and ADD all at the same time. Isn't that exciting? So as we're gonna, move along here, I'm gonna invite someone new on stage here. I don't know if you guys actually know of him, but his name is Pete Kane. Pete, could you come on stage here? I just want to introduce you. Pete is a guy that actually, he does all sorts of things. Things happening in Kennesaw. If you guys don't know where Kennesaw is, it's in Georgia. It's a nice place. It's got a university and lots of good restaurants. That's all I'm going to say. Pete.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. I'll have to say, I'll have to own this, that when I asked Matt to come in, he probably thought I was going to give him some direction, but I didn't. So it might not flow like you would think it should flow because Matt had no idea what he was getting into. So thanks, Matt. I appreciate that. So the next thing I want to share with you is about community, but it's an asset, a tool we use to connect, build relationships, and educate through a magazine. Our first one is just hitting my doorstep today. It's available on Amazon. But why do we do? I'm going into a little bit more detail about why we produce and scale our magazine. You can go to Amazon and just search Kennesaw Happenings. We want a magazine that connects the stories of people in the community, that helps people to grow their business, because you grow your business through relationship building. When you understand somebody, you know their story, you're more apt to remember it. You're more apt to get to know them better if you know the story. And I'll just tell one story about Glenda. When I first started podcasting a couple of years ago, I had heard of Glenda. I knew her. We might have met in the marketplace one time, but I really didn't know Glenda until I had a chance to have her on my podcast numerous times. I got a chance to understand the impact that she was making through gamifying. She has a game that helps people learn in a nonprofit situation. So imagine yourself, you have a nonprofit. One of the challenging things is you don't get to know everybody. But if you can sit around the table with your nonprofit leadership and you can learn, get to know each other, and really share fellowship with each other, you're going to develop a stronger bond with your leadership team. So when she told me about her game, and she came out before COVID, was able to work through COVID, come out on the other side of COVID, which most people, not only are they not going to come up with a game, but she did, and she survived probably the biggest, I guess, change in our business community in a long time. But I see Glenda with thousands of people playing her game, strengthening the community of that nonprofit so they can have a bigger impact. So you can go to Amazon and you can look up Glenda, and we'll put a link in the show notes so you can get there and experience her game. Be able to take your team and be able to play and learn and grow your nonprofit. So when you look at the magazine, on the back cover of the magazine is Glenda. Inside the magazine is Glenda's story. So that's how we connect people. You get to know people, and there's a formula out there called 7-11, and it means people have to consume 7 hours of you, and they have to make 11 buying signals. Now, where does this come from? Well, there's a gentleman that came up with the 7 hours. Daniel Priestley didn't come up with it, but he's out there on the internet. And he has a company called Scored, and they do assessments. But what he realized through another person is people have to get to know you. They get to know you digitally now. And when people get to know you, they like you, they trust you, and there's a chance they'll do business with you. But once I got a chance to learn about Glenda, through podcasting, through conversations, through coaching, through understanding her mission, I feel like I know her like I know my sister, because I have had conversations with her. I've listened to her. I've talked with her. And that's the journey that I want y'all to think about, is consume, or if you're trying to create content, assets that people can consume of you. When they consume your material, they see that you can be the problem solver of whatever you're doing. So think now digitally, you have to create assets. Like Glenda has the game. She has podcasts. She has other information that's out there that you can get to know her. And once you get to know her, you're going to love her, and you're going to want to have her possibly come in and help your nonprofit. So the magazine, we connect the communities, we scale it because we can do magazines in any city in the United States. And if you want to know more about it, go to petekane.me/magazine. You can order it from Amazon, get your magazine, see what it's like. If you want to be a part of this magazine, there's a waiting list in each city. And once we have enough demand in a city, we will print a magazine that will connect the community with whatever you're doing in your community. So I want to thank you. That I'm going to turn the mic back over to Matt, because I have to give him a reason to come back, and I want to give him a reason to come back at a later time when I give him more direction. So thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Pete. I really do enjoy the microphone here, but I really don't need a reason to come back. I just need donuts. But without saying too much about donuts, I'm not a cop. I promise. I just like donuts. However, I will say I'm not a particular fan of the stage. I'm more of a person. I don't blow any wind, so that's not a thing. Now, I was corrected earlier by Kevin back there. He's our IT guy, our tech guy. He's our everything guy. And behind us is always a good IT guy. Well, behind every IT guy, there's no one. So we're just going to say, thank you, Kevin. This has been fantastic. But what I'm saying is that screen behind me is not actually black. It's unfortunately a white screen because it's unfortunate because I wanted to identify with it, but I can't because my name is Matt Black, and that's a white screen, and it's just blank, and I can't really pull anything from it. And it is unfortunate because I'm also wrong about a lot of other things. But the person that is right about everything, I'm going to say, is Glenda Hicks. And I think she's going to be a lot better at speaking on stage because I'm just full of consciousness this morning. And you can't blame me for anything that comes out of my mouth. But without further ado, Glenda Hicks.
Thanks again, Matt. My good friend, Matt. Such a pleasure to be here today and sharing with you. So right now I want to talk about leadership development and how organizations can develop their people in a way that they experience organizational success. There's some things, some beliefs that we have that you've likely grown up with and heard over time. One of them is you're a natural born leader. Do you subscribe to that? I used to think that you're a natural born leader. And I will give you that there are characteristics that we each have that are stronger in some than in others. And it equips them to do certain things either faster or in a stronger way. But that doesn't mean that everyone else is precluded from being a leader. Leadership can be learned, it can be developed. And over my lifetime of leadership development, I've witnessed that personally as I've grown, as I've had mentors and coaches, and just engaged in life itself as I observed others. So leadership is not something that you're naturally born with necessarily. It can indeed be learned. And in fact, if anyone is relying on you for anything, looking to you for direction, for guidance, for information, for support, they're acting in a leadership role, even if they don't have a formal title or what they would consider the authority to make decisions. And so I challenge businesses to look at every employee in their organization through the lens that everyone in the organization is a leader. And although many of them may not realize it themselves, there's programs, there's training they can go through that will help pull out from within them that acknowledgement. Another thing that you might have heard is, if you want it done right, do it yourself. I used to subscribe to that. And I don't subscribe to that any longer because I've learned that if I'm telling you how to do everything, how I want it done, and what my design idea is, and what steps you need to take, then why are you there? Why did I hire you? There's two of us doing what only one of us needs to do. I'm wasting money. So believing that if you want it done right, do it yourself, sometimes is really more about your ego. You're not giving people space and time to develop their own ideas, to trial and error and then make correction, to grow and to develop. What you should do is enable them to have the space and the resources they need in order to test ideas that they have and to put their stamp on things and make their own personal contribution, and then feel rewarded in the end and grow from that. The third thing that you may have heard is, in particular from businesses, they'll frequently say, people are our greatest asset. Well, if that's really true, then you would want to invest in those people, all the people, not just the people that have a title, senior VP, executive VP, manager, coordinator. Everyone in your organization is making a contribution that makes your business successful. And whether it's a not-for-profit business or a for-profit business, that element is the same on both sides. And so when I work with organizations, primarily nonprofit organizations, but also for-profit businesses, I bring the same message. Provide training opportunities to your non-titled leaders to show them that their values matter and that they have credibility, and they should be able to bring their whole self to work and then demonstrate that when they work with their peers. You want them to bring their vision of how things could be for your organization and give them that opportunity to see how it aligns with the company's vision so that you can be in lockstep with one another. You want to make the space for them to challenge the process so that they can think of new, creative, innovative ways to do things in the organization, both with their own direct responsibilities, but also in how things are done for your customer or for your clients or for the families that you serve in your community. You want to ensure that they have the tools and the support to do what they need to do. You're enabling them. You're giving them space. You're not tasking them with so many things that they can't get anything done, but that if you're assigning them to a project, you clear their plate of other things to ensure that they can devote the time that's necessary to that project. And finally, you're encouraging them. You're telling them, well done. You're finding out how they like to be recognized. Not everyone wants to be acknowledged in front of a group with a trophy. They may just want an email that says, well done. Or maybe they want an email to the whole organization that tells them how they contributed. And so this crosses over into peer-to-peer relationships just as much as it does from the top down. When all employees look at themselves as leaders, then they begin to work better with their coworkers. They begin to encourage their coworker, not just someone who directly reports to them. They begin to have more effective meetings because they're stepping back and allowing a coworker to step up and demonstrate their knowledge. So they're not always trying to tell someone else exactly how to do it. And that's where I come in with businesses. I bring that training to them and I empower non-titled leaders in the organization to recognize that they are in fact a leader already, and they can build on that strength through particular behaviors that they already exhibit and others that they don't, but want to identify and be intentional about strengthening how they employ and exhibit those behaviors. So leadership development is about relationship. It's not about titles. Thank you. And Matt, I'll turn it back over to you to lead us.
Oh, fantastic. I'm not sure how good of a leader I am. I'm more of a server than anything like that, but I guess that in itself is a leader. Sacrifice and everything like that, it's all kind of intertwined. And it is actually fantastic to actually hear all about your journey in that. That's incredible. Just being able to recognize that you are going, I'm in my own way. I'm blown away by that. I don't know. My mind is always blown by you. I don't know. I've just met you like what, half an hour ago, and I'm just blown away. It's incredible. I think there was an interview with Elon Musk about the Starship, and he was discussing all these different things about how it's run and how the different parts are working together. And the interviewer just asks him a simple question. It's like, is this system the same as this other system? And Elon just sat there and goes, you know what? I don't know why it isn't. Well, why is it different? You know what? That could save us a lot of money. And it's someone being able to recognize that, hey, I'm wrong in this. Someone else has a smarter idea. That's it. And honestly, the person that's got a lot smarter ideas than I do is Pete Kane. And I think he's the one who's coming up next. And honestly, I'm kind of jealous you get the microphone again, but you know what? I think I'm okay with that. Awesome. Pete Kane, here you are.
You can see how when I asked Matt, I kind of knew what I was getting into. He is, whenever we go to the same church, which is this church right here, I always kind of seek out Matt because the conversations are engaging, fun, sometimes sideways, crossways, and they're just enjoyable because he just has a different mindset than most. So thanks, Matt. We appreciate it. So the last I want to cover is AI. Now, I know we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but I want to really put some emphasis on this because as a business, as a nonprofit, as we transfer or move into a new era, AI is going to have more changes than we've ever had in our lifetime. And if you're as old as I am, which I am past the 65 mark. So I've been around for a few years. This is going to be the biggest change we'll ever see. Now, the person that is putting our AI strategy together is my partner up in Canada. I met him 7 years ago, and he's, for the last year, has been encouraging me to play with AI, experience it, try it. At first, I was resistant. I was busy. I said, I don't have time to do that. You do that. But as I got to know more about it and understand it's just a tool, but a powerful tool that can help your business grow, he said to me, Pete, think of it as 80%. If you could do if AI can do 80% and you can do the 20%, how fast can you go in your business? And when I started to understand what he meant, I really started to play with it, try it, have it do some activities that I could actually experience, like writing a course, putting a 12-week course together, which would have taken me months to do. I was doing it in the outline, the framework, in 5 seconds or 10 seconds. So if you can imagine the speed that it's going to put in your pocket with your business or nonprofit, I think it's important to investigate. So if you go to petekane.me/AI, that's my partner, Jeff Bourgeois. He has a free course for you to experience what AI can do, so you can understand how you can start applying it. And he wants to come alongside you to help you move at the speed of this tool that's about to change everything. So don't be scared of it. Just learn more about it. Learn more about how it can possibly help your business, because there's going to be winners and losers in this transition. You want to be a winner. You want to be the job or the business that embraced it, used it, and leveraged it to the point you're moving faster, adding more value to the marketplace, and being able to really keep up, because business is speed. And if you're driving a tricycle and your competition is driving a Porsche, I guarantee you the ladder is going to get there faster. So if you go and you experience AI through the eyes of my partner and get the free course, you'll start to understand the impact. Because if you rely just on media that might put some fear in you, you may not see the potential of it. And we have some time, but the time is opportunity knocks. You have to kind of move through the door and just not be afraid of it, but embrace it and use it with whatever you're doing. Now, as I bring Matt back, I want to just tell a story about, he mentioned Kevin Bora. Kevin has done, I think 3 or 4 events that we've done. And I want to tell you a story because it's kind of cute. So I don't say work from the seat of my pants, but probably. So I come in one morning, we're doing this event, and he told me, send me the slides, send me the information. And I said, I'll get it to you the night before. Well, I didn't. It was the morning of. So I'm sitting there and we're going over, and I said, hey, Kevin, I have a speaker that's up in Columbus, Ohio. I'd like to stream him into the event. And he kind of looked at me and says, you didn't tell me about that. And I didn't. So all of a sudden, we're going to go live in about 10 to 15 minutes. And I sprung a surprise on him. Well, you should have seen him. He all of a sudden started working behind the scenes. I don't know what he did, but all of a sudden, we're streaming this gentleman because Kevin solved a problem in a short period of time, like 5 minutes. So when you think of people with technology, you better have somebody that you can rely on to help you through this crazy transition. So Kevin Bora, we thank you for doing what you do, because he's behind the curtain. You know, I'm going to bring Matt on in just a second. But if I think of a movie, The Wizard of Oz, and remember when they went, I forget what the guy's name was behind the curtain. They opened the curtain and there's this small guy behind the curtain. They thought it was like running the whole thing, but there's always people behind the curtain that impact. So appreciate the people that in your business and in your life that don't always have to have their name on a building, but they're making an impact. So thank you, Kevin, for that. So Matt, come back because we want to talk about community here. So
The community here, as in this building in itself.
For people that are looking for community, what would they have to know about Grace?
Ah, okay. Well, Grace is a church. It's also a nonprofit because most churches are nonprofits. But we're part of the Grace Brethren Fellowship churches. So we actually have a Grace Church group that is based out of Ohio, but it's also here in Kennesaw, but there's also some in South Carolina. They're kind of popping up over everywhere. And the goal that the church actually has is 30 churches in 30 years. And we're well on the way for that. But anytime you want to actually join any kind of group here, I would say the best way to do that is just to show up at 11 o'clock, or no, I'm sorry, they've changed the time now. It's 10:30 on Sunday mornings. And that, speaking about blowing your mind kind of thing, Pastor David, he definitely has a way of doing that just every Sunday, just because he doesn't just tell you the word, he teaches you the word. And that to me is, that's worth it all the way. But I'm going to actually have to start charging you for mic time because you really kind of took my job there a little bit. But are we actually live here for our other guys? So, and what was his name again? Oh, he's not going to be here. Oh, fantastic.
If they want to be part of a community and they live in the Kennesaw area, what would they need to do to come here on Sunday? What time? And do they need to look for you or anybody in particular when they come through the door?
Well, actually, that's the good thing. 10:30 is actually the time to come here. You can come here any earlier. We do have coffee, sometimes a little bit of coffee snacks, but you don't look for me, please, because I'll be in the back and probably working on something. But that's honestly where I prefer to be. But anytime you walk in those doors, we've got a great welcoming team. And I believe my wife runs that. So she does a very fantastic job, and she's much better with talking to people face to face. I'm dyslexic and also an introvert. So this is perfect platform for me because I don't have to look at anybody, just a camera. But I joke, I kid. But I just wanted to thank everybody actually for taking the time to watch this and to listen to these genius people, much smarter than I am. But also, I would say they're growing immensely, even as they go through their own journeys. But that's actually a great sign of a genius, is someone who can actually recognize their change that needs to happen and implement that. And honestly, once again, blown away. It's fantastic. So, anything else?
So our next event, thank you, Matt, so much. I appreciate it. You know, I love that. You don't have to, certain people, you just don't have to tell them. They just do it. They just understand and just feel the moment. So thank you, Matt, for doing this. And we won't tell too many people that I didn't give you any direction, but I didn't. So thank you so much for coming and spending your time with us. So our next event is going to be January 18th here at Grace. So I want you to share this with people, because we want to help people grow in their business and their nonprofit. We do podcasting. You can go to Kennesaw Happenings within Spotify, and you can hear one of Glenda's podcasts. You can go to petekane.me/Glenda Hicks. You can see her information. You can connect with her. You can buy her game. You can get more of Glenda. So if you're out there and your nonprofit is flatlining or not having the growth that you want, you need to connect with Glenda. And by doing that, there's a number of ways to do it. But if you go to her page, or 501c.org or 501cimpact.com, that's where you can find Glenda online. So share this with people. Thank you so much, Kevin, for doing what you do in the back. Matt, thank you so much for, on the spur of the moment. We talked yesterday and I still didn't give him any direction yesterday. So thanks. And hopefully I'm going to be able to convince him to come back in January with a little bit more direction from me. And so you know what our speaker lineup is. So thank you so much. And one quick thing. So when I first was looking for churches, this was the fourth church that I went to visit. And when I walked in, because anytime you walk into a church, it's kind of intimidating. You don't know if they're going to greet you. You don't know if what is going on. And when I met Deborah, she literally made me feel welcome. And I kept saying, man, this person really has leadership ability. I ended up signing up. She helped me sign up for doing something at the church. And then about 9 months went by. And I'm just, because Matt knows this, because when you're dyslexic, you're always trying to figure out things. You're always trying to reverse engineer. How does this person have such incredible leadership? I mean, what's her background? Well, how does she do this? Then she says, about a 10-year-old walks by and she says something about her nephew. And I said, what? How is he your nephew? He says, well, David's my brother. I said, what? David is your brother? I had no idea. I'd been there almost a year. Had no idea that they were brother and sister. So there's a lot of leadership in the family. Probably thank your mother-in-law and your father-in-law for what they do, because they definitely raised two pretty remarkable people, and Matt's married to one of them. So, yeah. Yes, thank you. Okay, I'm finished. Thank you so much. Matt, why don't you just close us out with whatever you want to say?
Thanks, Pete. I'm not going to give you the mic back again. You just talk too much. I love you, Pete. That's good. But honestly, the best thing I would say about any kind of microphone is that I get all the control and you can just sit there and enjoy. But once again, we just want to thank everyone for joining us. And in January, do you know what date that is? The 18th. See, he's already given me information. It's fantastic. By that time, I'll be ready to go and actually have people's names. It's going to be great. But I'm just going to say, have a good day, have a good life, and see you in January.